There are some ugly new indicators on the housing market. Sales of existing homes sinking to their lowest levels of the year so far, down 3.8% from just last month. And what may be even more telling, only 35% of all existing home sales were first-time buyers. Typically, that number is about 50%. Dolly Lenz, Vice Chairman of Prudential Douglas Elliman Real Estate, is here, as is Matt McCall, President of Penn Financial Group. Thanks to both of you for being here. Dolly, what's going on out there? Why are these numbers still so bad?
Well, we still have all the same problems. Supply, demand imbalance, unemployment issues. I mean, is there really any good news except maybe the stock market ticking up a little bit? I don't know.
But I mean, and yet, as we've talked about, there are these great deals out there. Home prices are at the lowest they've ever been. So if you are a new home buyer or any home buyer, this is the time. So why are new home buyers avoiding all of these homes?
I think it's a lack of confidence in the economy and the government right now, because if you think about it, that first-time home buyer number really resonates with me, only 35%. So that's typically going to be younger people in my mind. They're not out there buying right now. And a lot of younger people are actually employed, but I think they look at the economy and look at the fact that taxes may be going up. They have friends that are unemployed. Why am I going to make the biggest purchase of my life right now with that uncertainty looming? So I think that's going to hold people back, even though there may be deals out there.
And the housing market is obviously an indicator for our overall country's general economic health.
No question.
So this is, I mean, this is bad because of the ripple effect.
Well, it's bad, the ripple effect, all of that, but it's also bad because it tells us everything is really wrong. You know, we're not addressing all the problems we have as a country. We're not addressing cutting back spending. We're not addressing unemployment. We're not addressing all the major issues that if we don't address, there won't be any confidence, to his point. And without confidence, real estate is over.
Matt, we had some breaking news. Liz McDonald reported it in our last hour. The Goldman Sachs said that a major milestone was about to be reached, I think today or this week, in housing, and that the government was on track to own more foreclosed homes than the banks. So in other words, the government, via Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, would have an estimated 700,000 homes over the next 12 months. What does that even mean?
That means the government, once again, is getting into the business that they should not be in. Those foreclosed homes should be going into the hands of the vultures, as I like to call them, the private investors out there that should be buying them up. By the government going out there and buying them up, that's almost putting another floor underneath the market, because eventually you have to unload those homes, and then the inventory, which already rose this past month to 9.3 months inventory, is going to go even higher. So this is setting up for actually another big dip down in my mind.
But do we know
a false bottom?
Exactly.
Yeah, a false bottom. Why? Because do we know if the government is going to sell them or hold on to these homes, and how that affects the market?
Well, by them entering a market, if they're paying $200,000 for a house, it's really worth $160 left on an open market. They're creating a false bottom at $200, which means nothing else is going to sell because everyone's going to know it's a false bottom. That no confidence again, all these problems again.
So what is the answer here, Matt? What should be happening?
I think it comes down to one word: employment. Because if unemployment's going to stay around 9%, there's no incentive out there to go buy a home. Because even if I'd like to buy a home right now in Manhattan, I'm still a bit concerned about the economy. And I see people out of work. So why would I put all of my money basically in a bank into a home that is a good chance it's at a lower price 1 year from now, and I might have a job and lose that home?
And Dolly, yet I hear people who are interested in buying homes still talking about how hard it is. Why is it still so hard to buy a home?
Well, first of all, the lending standards have become so rigid. They really went so the other way from where they were before that caused this problem to now where really qualified people cannot get a loan to purchase a home.
Right, and that's the bank's fault, right? I mean, shouldn't the banks be doing something to...
No, I disagree. I do not think it's the bank's fault. I'll tell you why. Because the banks are sitting in all this cash because we don't know what's going to happen, what's called the Dodd-Frank bill coming forward,
right.
What type of regulations a bank are going to have on them. The more stringent regulation the government puts on them, the more cash they need. So until we have that uncertainty of government regulation out of the way, these banks will sit on the cash and not lend it to people that do deserve to own a home.
Yeah, they don't know what their capital requirements will be. They really don't know what the whole story is yet until it's played out.
Right, but of course this is the catch-22, that people who want to buy the homes, the banks are putting all of these added conditions and regulations on them, and they can't buy the homes. Something's got to give.
Right, the banks, the government, again, it's in concert again. Everything against the housing market, and the housing market, as you said, is the most important indicator overall of the health of the economy.
What do you think is going to tip the scales back in the favor of the housing market?
Well, again, less stringent lending standards. If we came to a budget conclusion that was satisfactory, which, you know, I don't know if that's going to happen in any short-term reaction. I don't know. Something like that would have to be what it is.
I think easily said, too, lower prices. It's supply demand. Eventually, the prices get to a level that demand's going to outstrip supply, and we'll see people come in. Unfortunately, we're not there yet.
And, employment,
Yeah.
you know, and without employment, there's no confidence. You know, again, round and round and round we go.
All right, Dolly, Lenz, Matt McCall, thanks so much for coming in and explaining it to us.